All right, welcome back, everybody. In this lecture, we're going to be covering the exam roadmap. So as you can see, I'm over on AWS's website. I'm on aws.amazon.com/certification. And this is basically their homepage for all the certifications. If you scroll down here, you can see, they talk about the, exam readiness, the courses, some of their new certifications like their Alexa Skill Builder, which is what just came out recently. And we're talking in summer of 2019. And if you scroll down here, you can see their exam roadmap. So in the previous lecture, I talked about how, the Cloud Practitioner is a good footstone before you move up to the Solutions Architect. I know a lot of people, I have a lot of friends who they went for the developer because they are developers, or some even that went for the SysOps administrator because they work as DevOps engineers. For me personally, my background is more systems engineer or systems administrator. So the Solutions Architect made more sense for me because I usually work on provisioning services for the enterprise for different organizations. I've worked for managed service providers throughout my career. And, when it came to data redundancy or backup redundancy, maybe I wanted to integrate cloud compute services and that were just to be spun up quickly and used to process data, or maybe even handle a database in the cloud. The Solutions Architect basically covered that information. And so that just made sense for me personally. So basically, if you are brand new to the cloud, the way of path would be to get your Cloud Practitioner, which ideally that's going to cover your general idea of different services. It's going to cover a lot on the pricing model, stuff like that. And I actually teach that course on Cybrary. So if you haven't already, go back and search for that. It's the AWS Cloud Practitioner course. And it's really good. It covers all the material you need to pass that certification. And so if you're new to the cloud, I would go there, take that course, and then come back here and continue on to the Solutions Architect. So moving on, I just want to show here, it says, for these associate, which are the blue, you need 1 year of experience solving problems and implementing solutions using the AWS cloud. I'm just going to be upfront. You don't need that. If you have IT experience and you understand networking, you understand systems and databases, and you know what those things are, then that should be enough experience for you to dive into the course and get a better understanding of what the services are and identify how they work, and then really just learn how AWS works altogether. So they say 1 year. To be perfectly fair, I had been working with AWS for like on and off for about a year, but I definitely didn't know everything I needed to know in order to take and pass. Like I didn't even dabble in VPCs, which is, networking in the cloud. I have never done that. I had dabbled with S3 buckets and a little bit of the compute services, and that was it. So just, they say 1 year, you don't actually need to have a year. Just, play around with the services and take this course and then read a lot. And you should be able to take and pass that certification. So if we scroll down here, they're going to show, the featured learning paths. We talked about the Cloud Practitioner as the first one. There's the Architect path, which is this right here. You can go for your associate and then your professional. They have your developer path and then your operations path. So that's your operations. There's your developer and then there's specialties. And if you scroll down, they have our exams, which basically is a page for each certification exam. And I want to go over to learn more under the Solutions Architect Associate. So let's go ahead and open that up. And here you can find a lot more information about the exam. They talk about the price, it costs $150 US. Your exam time is going to be 130 minutes. This is an associate level certification. It is multiple choice and multiple answer. And they tell you the different languages that it's available in. What I wanted to do is open up the exam guide so you guys can see what we're up against here. So here they talk about the recommended knowledge, which we already went over that. You can learn more and go to the AWS official training here. They have, some training services that they provide that you have to pay for. here I wanted to highlight the white papers. So if you go back into my Cloud Practitioner course, I talk a lot about the white papers, and those white papers go across the board for all AWS certifications. Things like, highly available architectures, security documentation, stuff like that. I actually talk about that on my blog at nicolasmoy.com, where I basically break down the white papers and focus on the things that you need to know, because to be perfectly honest, white papers are huge. And you don't need to know all the information on them. You just need to basically read it 1 or 2 times, get a good understanding of what they are. That way, when you go into the exam, you understand how they're asking the questions. That's really all they're for. If you scroll down here, talk a little bit more about the exam structure. You need an exam score of 720 or higher, which is actually not hard to get. Like I said, I passed it on my first attempt, so I have no doubt that if you follow my exam tips, you should be able to pass it on the first attempt as well. Here, they're going to break down the exam structure. So mainly, the bulk of your scoring is going to be based on designing resilient architectures, which we're going to cover, but a lot of that is going to be covered within the white papers. So going back to that again, make sure you go back and read the documentation, go to my blog, read the articles where I talk about building highly available architectures, resilient architectures. And then from there, we're going to be talking about performant architectures, which is 24%, securing applications and architectures, cost optimization, and operationally excellent architectures, which is 6%. And here they break down a little bit more within each domain what you're expected to know about. Decoupling mechanisms, multi-tier architecture solutions, things like that. So I encourage you to come here, read this documentation, make sure you understand what you're up against with the certification. And as you're going through the course, make sure you're reading the FAQs, you're reading services documentation, and you're reading the white papers. The course is going to cover the material that you need to know, but it's not going to cover the depth of the material that you need to know. And the reason why we can't do that is because there's literally so much to know, and you really don't know, what you can't know everything. We can't cover everything because AWS is just in such depth, and for each region, the services are different, the service offerings are different. So we're going to cover it, get you understanding what they do, and then you're going to have to go and study the services individually to learn more in order for you to take and pass this exam. All right, that about wraps up this lecture. I will see you guys in the next one, where we're going to go ahead and get started with creating our AWS account.